Getting started is always the hardest part. I used to overthink, second guess, and stall out, even though I already had all the right skills. I'm organized, I'm effective, I'm deliberate, but still things didn't always track. The breakthrough came when I built a system with Apple's own apps, and that turned Overwhelm into momentum. But here's the thing, tools alone aren't going to solve the problem. If I'm not clear what I'm doing and why, blocking my calendar or opening a new note won't do much. What made a difference for me is building a skill how to respond when I face something new or ambiguous, because that response really defines whether and how I move forward. Hey, I'm Roman. Outside of this channel, I'm a developer and a solutions architect. What I do requires a lot of imagination, but it also requires a skill to cut through a lot of noise, ambiguity, and complexity. I'm always learning, I'm always doing something new, so feeling out of my depth is normal. It's about how I respond to it, which ultimately determines how I move forward. I loosely categorize my responses as emotional and technical. Breaking it down like that tends to quiet all the negative blubber in my head and makes everything fall into place. And so today I want to share one of my most effective workflows centered around reminders and notes with support from mail and calendar. Time and time again, it helps me get out of my head and get things done. So let's dig in, shall we? Before we jump into the cool stuff of using the apps, we have to sort out what we're doing with them and why. And that's the emotional response. Let me explain. It will make a lot of sense in just a few seconds. Based on my very own scientific observation of myself, emotions and feelings travel fast, and my brain makes decisions even faster, way before I'm able to form a cohesive and rational thought. But the thing about my brain is that it's not there to create cool things. Its only purpose is to keep me safe and comfortable. My brain hates new things. It hates changes. It despises ambiguity and the lack of clarity and not knowing. And hence the emotion of fear and a sense of danger when something is perceived as unknown or uncertain. I freak out or procrastinate not because I'm lazy or stupid, but because I lack clarity, which is not safe for my brain. When this happens, I need to almost physically demonstrate that what I'm doing has enough certainty and clarity. You probably heard the phrase, perception creates reality, and so at the minimum, I need to create that perception of certainty and clarity. And this is where the technical response and how I use reminders, notes, and the rest of the Apple ecosystem comes in. I train myself to see challenges as something that simply needs more information. It takes the edge off. And so instead of letting my feelings drive the boat, I launch reminders. I create new board that becomes my central hub where I connect everything I need to make this thing happen. My first step is discovery. First thing I do here is I list everything I know and everything I don't know about my task or project, all the knowns and all the unknowns. And Kanban board and reminders is the ideal tool for this. I create a new list and then I set the view to columns. And then I create 3 columns, unknown, known, and done, in that order, left to right. But before jumping into the unknowns, I list everything I've already completed or solved in the done column. And then I list everything I know and any follow-up actions in the known column. And here's the reason why I start with done and known. First, I need a clear picture of what I'm solving. Think of it as a system view where all the pieces are visible, connected, and working together. I need to see them laid out in front of me and not camping out in my head. Second, the very act of listing what I already know and finished is intentional and deliberate. It helps me solve parts of the unknown simply by reflecting on what I already know. And third, it shifts my mindset. I can now see that not all of it is a black hole of not knowing anything or feeling like I've got nothing to show for this task. Because by the time I've listed everything I know and done, something important happens. Even though I haven't touched the unknowns yet, I've already started working on my task. I can see and feel that I'm making progress, I'm in motion, and as the saying goes, things that are in motion stay in motion. In my experience, having completed the known and the done gives me a good baseline to start defining what I'm missing, which is the unknowns. Alright, let's get back to the reminders board. I list my unknowns as they come up, and they will continue to come up until the point I'm done. I move the tiles up or down to manage sequence, value, and priority. And these are tactile movements that make my actions deliberate and it makes me concentrate and think. Remember, I was just talking about physically demonstrating that things are safe? Well, this is it. You see it, you touch it, you think it, and it happens. If some of my unknowns are still too daunting, that means they're probably too big. I break them up to simplify. For some big tasks, I find it helpful to break up the unknowns into easy, medium, and hard verticals. By the way, if you already have a list of bullets listing some of the things you've already done or still need to do, simply copy that list and paste it into reminders, like this. Each bullet will become its own tile. You won't need to copy and paste one by one, or worse yet, type it all over. Alright, now with my board complete, I can move on to the next step. My next step is organized. For most everything I'm doing, I've got emails, notes, files, messages, call transcripts, calendar events, screenshots, whatever. And all of that is massively relevant for getting my work done. And the worst thing that I can do to myself is having all of that reference scattered all over the place. If I'm constantly searching, scrolling, and looking for my stuff, I will lose a lot of precious focus and energy. And instead, I lean into the Apple ecosystem and milk it. Apple Notes is a perfect tool for organizing reference, but if you just throw stuff at it, things will get out of control. Here's how I use it. I keep my entire reference repository in a single note, and here's why. I can create collapsible sections and subsections to keep all my working files, brain dump, checklists, voice recordings, etc. separate. I can collapse or expand, keeping everything in one place, but also neat and clean. When I'm done, I will not have to deal with a bunch of random notes. I just archive this single note for future reference. By the way, I can drag and drop the same note into reminders multiple times, so it can function as a reference point for multiple tasks. If you're using your Mac, you cannot drag and drop notes like on iPhone or iPad, but there is a workaround, and it's much simpler than I thought. And I want to thank my viewers who shared this tip with me. You would need to highlight the title of the note you want to link, right-click, share, click on Reminders, pick your board. But before you click Add, you can click on the eye icon and you will get a Reminders pop-up where you can add a flag, due date, time, priority, etc. And when you're done, click the Add button and the note will link to the Reminders board. It will still drop in the Others column and you will need to move it to the right vertical. Next, managing my emails. First, I drag and drop all emails that I need to use for reference, and those go to the Known or Done verticals. Then I link all emails that need a response. And lastly, I link any sent emails that I need to chase, and those will go into the known or unknown verticals. Next, managing files. I cannot link files to my reminder tiles, but I can drop them into a note. And so I create a collapsible section and name it files in that same note we just talked about. If I need to get to my working files, they're just 2 taps away. No searching and trying to remember where I saved what. Next, calendar. I link all past and future events to my tiles. Past events are helpful for recaps, transcripts, and just remembering the names of the people I met with and when. Seeing future events keeps me on point to prep and prioritize. Once I link a meeting to my board, I can now schedule a prep for that call. And this is how. Tap the I symbol, tap Remind Me, enter date and time, or even location, like when you get to the office. And now you're all set. If you linked your reminders to your calendar, that prep reminder will sit there and it will stop you from overbooking yourself. You know, the less admin stuff I need to keep in my memory, the more capacity I have to do the actual work. And my last org step is to ballpark priority and complexity. Tiles with high priority will naturally go up to the top, and I mark complex tasks with high importance tag, like this. Or you can also use a hashtag for quick filtering. By the way, you can create a template in Reminders using the board we just built. For that, go to File, save as template, then name it. And now you can choose this template next time you're doing something similar. And now step number 3, action. Now that I've discovered and organized, let's do something with it. I start with the easiest and simplest things on my list of unknowns. It feels good to mark things done. Depending on what I'm working on though, I may leave more complex tasks for later. Sometimes solving simple and easy things helps me with building up the context to solve bigger issues. It creates bias towards action. I move solved items over to the known or done columns, and the sucker in here observes that action. It's no longer a perception that I'm getting there. I created a new reality. I'm making progress. I'm capable, and it feels good. I can now reclaim control and agency. Figuring out how to manage uncertainty was a total game changer for me, but using reminders, notes, and the rest of the Apple ecosystem added the visual and tactile backdrop that keeps me from getting scattered. And just to be real, this doesn't always work. I wish there was a magic button to write all this up. When things go haywire, and they do, I try to focus on what I can influence and control, but also my vision and my dreams. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it helpful. Thanks for watching. I love you.